Welcome to the Small Business Requirements and Resource webinar for starting a business in Washington State. This webinar is brought to you by Washington State Small Business Liaison Team, often referred to as the SBLT. Today, we will provide helpful information for starting a business in Washington State, and our focus will be on state requirements. Please understand that most of the counties and cities you plan to operate in will have additional requirements you must adhere to. Please contact them for help with their regulations. At a minimum, you will need an additional business license for most of the cities and some of the counties you operate in. We will be talking about this in more detail later in the presentation. There are also federal regulations you will need to research and follow. Before we start, I want to tell you what we're not going to talk about today. This webinar is not going to cover market assessment, details of business planning, financing, or other business management practices. We can encourage you to attend one or more workshops covering those topics elsewhere. Today, we'll be introducing you to some of the resources that can help you with planning and managing a business, but our focus is on state requirements. Here are 6 steps which we'll be addressing in this presentation. We are going to talk about various business startup resources that will help you prepare for starting a business, not the least of which is making a business plan. We will talk about the various ways to structure your business and how to form the business entity. You will learn about getting required licenses and permits, and also requirements for submitting your state tax and required reports. You will learn about employer requirements, and finally, we will be connecting you with nonprofit organizations that can accelerate your success by providing advisors and other forms of support. You don't have to do this alone. Watch the title of the slide to keep track of which step we're on. Let's get started with step 1 and talk about the many resources available to you, and then we'll dig a little deeper into each one. Business.wa.gov is a website that's going to be your new best friend and a place to start when looking for resources. The Small Business Guide housed there is a great reference guide for all phases of your business, from starting to running and growing. Training and advising programs will help you get prepared, especially if you're a starting business for the first time. There are lots of great resources to help you work smarter and accelerate your success. And then there's the Small Business Liaison Team. That's us. Along with our colleagues from more than 2,000 other state agencies, we're here to help you, so lean on us when you need assistance. I'm going to go to business.wa.gov now and share my screen. If you have a cell phone handy, or if you know how to view the browser in a separate window on your computer, please go to business.wa.gov and follow along. Doing so will make it easier to find these resources later. Think of this website as the access point for many resources you may need. There is an abundance of information here that you can browse through later, but here are a couple of important pages on the site. The SBR workshops, you can download today's presentation, and you can register for one in-person workshop and partner workshops. When we discuss the Small Business Guide in a minute, you can access it here. In fact, the bulk of everything we talk about today can be accessed through the website. It's a one-stop shop with information and important links. While starting and operating a business is challenging, finding what you need to know doesn't have to be. Let's talk about the Small Business Guide next. The Washington Small Business Guide is very comprehensive. In addition to including the steps to take in starting a business, it includes information about the decisions you need to make before taking those steps. It includes Washington state requirements and resources, but goes well beyond that, providing federal and local requirements, general best practices, and links to small business advising and training resources. The Small Business Guide is broken into 7 sections based on your stage of business and the kind of information you need. The sections are plan your business, start your business, payroll, what you need to know and do to pay employees, open your business for out-of-state employers opening operations in Washington, run your business, which covers ongoing activities for business operations, including recurring reporting and tax requirements, grow your business, which it includes a lot of resources to facilitate business growth. And finally, close your business for when you're ready to transition. The business guide is accessible online, but it's also available as a PDF so you can have it as a printed reference manual. The PDF is available in English, Spanish, Korean, Russian, Mandarin, Vietnamese, Japanese, Samoan, Somali, Tagalog, Braille ready format, and Ukrainian. As a new business, you'll want to focus on the plan, start, run sections for now. If you are going to have employees soon, you'll also want to read through payroll. Planning and starting a business is a big step that may require some in-person assistance. So let's talk about training and advising programs. In addition to online resources, we want to make sure you know about Washington's many free and low-cost small business resource centers, training and advising programs. If you want to reach your business and financial goal as efficiently as possible, take advantage of these valuable services. A common problem for small business owners is that without prior experience and training, you can miss important steps and requirements, which can have a devastating impact. It also means you may miss out on tools, tips, and resources which will have provided a great boost. Don't be one of those business owners. Be informed so you can work smarter. Prepare before you start your business by accessing free or low-cost trainings available from one of the providers listed on Business.wa.gov. These resources are free or low cost because they are sponsored, they are top-notch organizations, and some will even provide funding if you complete their training. At the end of this presentation, we'll introduce you to one of these organizations. The last resource I will mention today is the Small Business Liaison Team, SBLT. Live people from more than 24 different state agencies who are committed to supporting you and Washington small businesses. If you can't find what you're looking for through business.wa.gov, or you need more detailed information, assistance, or support, you'll find the phone numbers and email addresses to the team members who will be happy to hear you out and provide individual help. You can download the SBLT contact sheet on business.wa.gov. And finally, set up yourself for success by making a business plan. There are many forms this can take. Some are very brief, but it is important to plan your path. If this is not your strong suit, get help from one of those resources listed on business.wa.gov. SCORE and SBDC are just several options that are free and can help you get started. Of course, there is a plan section to the Small Business Guide that links you to these resources. So that wraps up my presentation on resources and planning. But as you listen to the rest of this webinar, you will see that there are a number of considerations you will need to include in your business plan. For example, our next presenter is going to talk about how can you structure your business and the steps you need to take to make it official. So now I would like to introduce you to Constance Barbon from the Secretary of State's office. She'll take over for the next part of the presentation.
Thank you, Hugo. Forming the business. Today I'm going to address some common options for business structures, what is needed for registration with the Secretary of State, and some key points small businesses should be aware of for registration. One of the first decisions that you will need to make is what business structure will your business be? With one owner, common choices are sole proprietorship, limited liability company, commonly known as LLC, or a corporation. What business structure you select is an important decision that can have long-term impacts. It is important to do your research on what is best for your long-term plans. A good place to start is the Washington Small Business Guide mentioned earlier on Business.wa.gov, specifically in the Start Your Business section. Keep in mind that there is not a graduated process for starting a business and upgrading the structure when you get bigger. The idea is not to start as a sole proprietor and eventually grow to be an LLC. It is best to consider what you think you will be in 5 years and start as that business structure. Sole proprietorship to an LLC, you are starting over from the beginning and lose valuable business history. In the Start section of the Small Business Guide, you will find an unofficial chart for comparison of business structures. This reviews items like limiting personal liability, growth plans, financing, and federal taxes. While you may have heard the terms S Corps or C Corps, these are IRS subchapters, which are terms for federal tax classifications. These terms are not a type of ownership. From the state of Washington's perspective, S Corps and C Corps are just either LLCs or corporations. The first step in forming your business depends on what business structure you choose. All LLCs and corporations start with the Secretary of State. Sole proprietorships and general partnerships start with the Department of Revenue. Corporations and LLCs are legal entities separate from the owner. The business can sue and be sued, buy and sell property, and be taxed separate from the ownership. These business structures require a different level of transparency and are required in the public record. If an LLC corporation is the business structure selected, then you will first register with the Secretary of State, Corporations and Charities Division. Creating a user account for the Corporations and Charities Filing System, commonly called CCFS, will be your first step. CCFS is a filing system where documents for your business entity can initially be filed, as well as future required and optional business maintenance filings. The initial submission to create a business entity is commonly referred to as the origination document. For an LLC, this is called a certificate of formation, and for a corporation, it is called articles of incorporation. Either origination is $200 and can take up to 5 business days to process when filed online. We do offer same-day service for $280 at our office. For both filings, you can submit an initial report for no additional filing fee. However, if you choose to submit the initial report after the origination is filed, a $10 filing fee is assessed in addition to the online processing fee. The initial report is required within 120 days of the business registering and provides important information that a bank would review to start a business bank account, such as the principal office address and the current list of governors. Once you have created and activated your account, log into the Corporations and Charities filing system and start the Create or Register a Business process. Key components that you will need to know for submitting the origination. Your business name. The business name must include a designation, which is based on your business structure. For an LLC, it must include either limited liability company or the abbreviation LLC. For a corporation, it must include either corporation, incorporated, or the abbreviation Corp or Inc. The name must be distinguishable from anything currently on record with our office. A business entity designation does not make a name different. This will be your business's legal name, which you can choose to use as the operating name or not. You may instead choose to have a trade name or doing business as name, commonly referred to as a DBA, which will be discussed a little later. Next, you will need a registered agent. You will need to designate either an individual, an entity, or a specific position within the business as the registered agent. The registered agent will be relied on to accept notices and service on the business's behalf and should be trusted to deliver these notices to the business. Small business owners commonly name themselves as the, but you can name someone else who consents to the responsibility or engage a service for that role. An additional mailing address for regular mail may be provided, but not in place of a physical address. Virtual addresses like FedEx, UPS, or other artificial business addresses are not accepted for the physical address. Then you'll need to list the executor or incorporator. You'll need to name an executor or incorporator, which can be anyone but is mainly the person who is completing and submitting the entity filing. With small businesses, that would commonly be the owner or one of the primary owners. And then finally, the governors. If you are submitting the origination with an initial report, you will need to name your governors. These are the persons who have authority to act on behalf of your business. The term governor is a generic term that includes all the common position names like president, CEO, member, manager, or director. With small businesses, the governors commonly include all owners. But that is just the registration. To be an LLC or corporation with the desired limited liability and other benefits, you will have to operate like one. That starts with the internal governance documents. For an LLC, this would be the operating agreement, or for a corporation, the bylaws, even if it is just you in business by yourself. You'll want to learn about these documents, what to put in them, and how they can affect your business down the road. You can find out more about these types of documents at Business.wa.gov. While these internal governance documents are important to have for your business, they are not recorded with the Secretary of State. But there is more to know than just that. Like mentioned before, you are creating an organization separate from yourself legally, and you will need to be mindful of keeping that separation distinct and following best practices. Do your research about what being an LLC or corporation requires and consider consulting an attorney to advise you now and in the future. Once the origination is completed, a State Unified Business Identifier or UBI number will be issued. This is a 9-digit number that is issued to businesses and is your Washington State ID number used to identify the business. In addition to applying for your business license with the Department of Revenue, you will also need a federal ID number, which you can apply for on the Federal ID numbers are typically called EINs, employer identification numbers, even if you are not an employer. You may also see the term FEIN for Federal Employer Identification Number and TIN for Taxpayer Identification Number. These are just different names for the same number. EINs are not just for corporations and LLCs. You will need an EIN if you plan to be a partnership or a sole proprietorship with employees. A sole proprietorship without employees can use the owner's Social Security number as the business's federal ID number, but that is not recommended. It can make your Social Security number vulnerable to fraud. After you receive the business's EIN and apply for your business license, a report called the Beneficial Ownership Information Report, or BOIR for short, is required to be filed online. This is a new report which took effect on January 1st, 2024, and is required for businesses to be filed with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, commonly known as FinCEN. Newly registered businesses have 30 days to file their report. Additional information regarding the BOIR and to file the report can be found at www.fincen.gov/BOI. Please be sure that you are accessing the correct website to submit your report. The BOIR requires you to submit personal identifiable information. While the Office of the Secretary of State is unable to answer specific questions regarding the required information within the report, we have available on our website, www.sos.wa.gov/corporations, links to the FinCEN page where they have a frequently asked questions section, informational resources, and a link to the online filing portal. They also have a contact page where you can ask for additional guidance if needed. Our office is aware of deceptive attempts from third parties to solicit information or other attempts of collecting fees for different filings. These attempts are coming by mail, email, and text, so please always be cautious. While most recent solicitations appear to be from the Office of the Secretary of State and general state offices, please review our website for our misleading notices page to review the most recent and other common ways these misleading solicitations appear that have been reported to our office. Our office now has a small business page, which provides places that small businesses can find additional resources and certifications, such as a link to information about the Office of Minority and Women's Business Enterprises, Department of Veterans Affairs, and Department of Enterprise Services. If you have a business entity that is registered in another state or country and are currently conducting or want to conduct business in Washington, you will want to complete a foreign registration statement through our online filing system. Foreign is a term applied to businesses that are not governed by Washington state law. If you do not register your business in Washington, you may be operating without the legal protections that you have in your home state, including limited liability or tax considerations. Talk with your attorney for more information to know if you meet the definition of doing business in Washington. The fee for submission is $200 and can take up to 5 business days to process an online filing. Now on to the next topic with Jess from Department of Revenue.
Thank you, Constance. Now in step 3, we will cover getting licenses and permits. We will talk about the licensing wizard, general licensing questions, trade name registration, hiring plan, creating a SAW account, other license and permits that may apply. The licensing wizard is a great resource to help you determine the types of endorsements and permits needed on your Washington State business license. The wizard does not register you with the Department of Revenue, but will take you through a series of questions and steps. At the end, you'll get a customized list of licenses and permits needed given your form of ownership, industry, location, hiring plans, and other key information. This is a great tool to use before you submit your business license application because it will help you understand what you will need to start the registration process with the Department of Revenue and information needed for special permits and professional licenses with other agencies. Okay, let's assume you completed the licensing wizard. Next, go to our My DOR help page for a list of additional questions you'll be asked during the application process. You can find them at dor.wa.gov/apply. It's a good idea to have all the information gathered before you begin your application. First, you'll need to know your ownership structure. Certain entities must be registered with the Secretary of State before applying for the business license. For example, an LLC or corporation will need the UBI number that was signed by the Secretary of State. If you'll be a sole proprietorship or general partnership, the Department of Revenue will assign the UBI number after the business license application has been processed. On the business license application, you will need to provide information about owners, business activity, and the business location, including the address and city. If your business will be based within city limits, it's likely you will need a local city license or city endorsement. You'll be able to obtain most city licenses with the business license application. If your business will do work in multiple cities, you will likely need a city license for each city you do business in. For every city you plan to work in, check the Department of Revenue's city endorsement page first. If you don't see the city listed, check the city's website for their licensing requirements. It's important to be aware that many cities have tax filing requirements that is separate from state taxes as well as city license renewals. For example, a few of the bigger cities like Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma, and Everett have their own process, so you will need to contact them directly. It's important to become aware of the additional taxes and fees that may apply so you can account for these expenses. You will also need to estimate your annual revenue. Many new businesses do not know how to estimate their revenue. If you have a business plan, this should help you calculate estimated gross annual income. Remember, you're just providing an estimate. No one expects you to get this number right. The estimated revenue is only used by the Department of Revenue to determine your reporting frequency. Let's talk about trade names. What will your business operate under? For sole proprietorship, you can use your own legal name, or for an LLC or corporation, you can use the name you filed with the Secretary of State. Any name you want to use other than your official licensed business name is considered a trade name. You can file for one or more trade names on the state business license. The trade name can be added on the initial application, or you can add them at a later date. Registering a trade name means that name you register will be legally affiliated with your business. It's referred to as a DBA, doing business as. However, it does not mean you own the name. For that, you would need a trademark, nor does it provide any assurance that you're not infringing upon someone else's trademark. Before you select a name, do your research. The Department of Revenue's registered trade name webpage has links to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office and other databases. Do searches through various search engines as well to ensure you're not using a trademark name. Registering a trade name is $5 per name plus a processing fee. If you're registering a name with your initial business license, you'll pay $50 for the state business license, $5 for the trade name, and potentially other fees amounts for city and state endorsements. If you want a trade name later, you'll pay a $10 processing fee and $5 for each trade name registration. Related to hiring, you will need to be ready to address these 4 questions when you complete the licensing application. The first question, will you be using independent contractors? There's a lot of misunderstanding about the independent contractor relationship, so I will address that further with the next slide. Our next question, will you hire staff in the next 90 days? If you say yes to this question, your information will automatically be sent to Employment Security and the Labor and Industries to get your business set up for the required accounts for unemployment insurance, paid family and medical leave, and workers' compensation insurance. Each account requires you to file a report. You're required to file them even if you do not have employees during a particular quarter. There is no cost for filing a report if you do not have employees. There may be a penalty if you fail to file by the due date. Third question, what type of work will your employees do? Labor and Industries needs to have a basic idea of what employees will be doing to determine the risk class and rates for workers' compensation insurance. Workers' comp covers employees who are injured on the job. And the last question, will you hire anyone under the age of 18? If so, you'll need a minor work permit. By checking the box, that information will automatically be sent to Labor and Industries youth employment staff, who will ensure that activities are approved for minors and that you get the information you need regarding special requirements. If you do not plan to hire employees soon, but may want them in the future, that is okay. Once you plan to hire employees, you can return to the Department of Revenue's website and complete the new business license application to become a registered employer. There is a $10 processing fee to become a registered employer. Now back to that question of will you be using independent contractors? It's not uncommon for small businesses to use independent contractors, but often many of the contractors do not meet the federal or state requirements. An independent contractor should have a contract, be a fully licensed and tax reporting business, keep good business and financial records, have multiple clients, work away from one of your locations, and do something different from what you do. If the contractor does not meet the federal and state requirements of an independent contractor, they would be considered an employee. There's a lot of misunderstanding here. It does not matter how many hours they work for you, how much they earn, or what you call them. If they do not pass the independent contractor test, you are required to consider them employees. Follow employment laws and put them on your payroll. Take a look at the Labor and Industries publication and website where you can go through the test and learn more information. Okay, let's assume you have all the required information to apply for a business license. Next, you'll need a Secure Access Washington account. This is a snapshot of Secure Access Washington website, also referred to as the SAW portal. This account will be used to access several online services from many state agencies, including Department of Revenue, Department of Labor Industries, Employment Security, Department of Social Health and Services, and Department of Licensing. Since the SAW account is used by many state agencies, you may already have a SAW account and not know it. If you can use the forget username or forget password option to retrieve your information. Once you log into your SAW account, you will need to click the Add New Service button in green to apply for access to services from state agencies. To submit your business license application, apply for all DOR services. Or if you know your SAW credentials, you can log in directly from our website, dor.wa.gov, using the login button on the top right. We encourage you to submit your business license application online. Online applications take up to 10 business days to process, and paper applications can take up to 6 weeks once received by our agency. Before engaging in any business activity, you must have an active business license. If you're an LLC or corporation, you must file your business license application after registering with the Secretary of State. All other ownership structures do not require registration with the Secretary of State. The processing fee for a new business license is $50, and additional fees will vary based on the city or state endorsements. You can view the various fees on our website, Business.wa.gov. Also, do not forget to renew your city, county, and state endorsements that are listed on your business license. Most city and state endorsements must be renewed annually. You will receive a renewal notice 45 days in advance from the expiration date. Most city, county, and state endorsements are renewed with the Department of Revenue. However, you could have a renewal with another state agency. Many businesses are mobile or could have more than one location, which benefit your customers but adds more complexity for licensing. A physical address must be provided on your business license application. If you do not have a commercial location, you may use your home address, but PMBs or PO boxes are not acceptable for a physical address. A PMB or PO box can only be provided as a mailing address. Be sure to update your address directly with all state agencies. If you do an address change with the post office, this will not update your address with all state agencies. Most cities will require you to have a local city license. So what do you do if you do not know where you'll be working? Get the local license for the city where you are located and for the cities where you plan to conduct business. If you miss obtaining any city licenses, you can add them later. Be sure to apply for the city licenses well in advance, as it can take a few weeks for city approval. Most local city licenses are annual, so if you won't be working in a city for several months, you may want to wait. Many businesses must have a professional license or permits. Architects, real estate agents, certified public accountants, hairstylists, and many others must have a professional license in addition to their state business license. The Washington Department of Licensing handles many of the professional licenses. Additionally, all businesses that are involved in building, remodeling, various home improvement services are required to be registered as a contractor through the Washington Department of Labor and Industries. And food-related businesses require permits from the local county health department. Those that serve alcohol must have a liquor license from the Washington Liquor and Cannabis Board. Your facility may need additional permits such as building permits, fire safety contracts, etc. And there are others. Where do you learn about all these? Remember the business licensing wizard we described earlier? It will tell you about many of them, but you also need to check with your city, county, industry, associations, advisors, competitors, and others. Now we're going to shift from business licensing requirements to taxes with my colleague, Janet.
Thank you, Jess. In step 4, we will be focusing on your tax reporting requirements. We will cover business and occupation tax, public utility tax, sales and use tax, real and personal property tax, and if you have employees, state unemployment tax, paid family and medical leave, and workers' compensation insurance premiums. Unlike many other states, Washington does not have a state income tax. Instead, we have a business and occupation tax and public utility tax, which is imposed on most businesses. The business and occupation tax, often referred to as B&O tax, is levied on businesses for the act of engaging in business in Washington. The most common tax classifications include retailing, wholesaling, and service and other activities. The appropriate tax classification a business reports under depends on their business activities. Businesses performing more than one activity may need to report under more than one B&O tax classification. For example, if you sell products to consumers and retail distributors, you will report your sales to consumers under retailing B&O and your sales to retail distributors under wholesaling B&O. B&O tax is measured on the gross receipts of the business. There are no deductions allowed from the gross receipts for expenses or costs of doing business. These costs are considered part of the selling price. There are, however, limited deductions that can be claimed under retailing B&O tax. For example, if you sell a product and ship it out of state, you can claim an interstate and foreign sales deduction, so you do not pay Washington B&O tax on an out-of-state sale. Now we will talk about public utility tax. Public utility tax is a tax on public service businesses, including businesses who engage in transportation, communications, and the supply of energy, natural gas, and water. This tax is in lieu of B&O tax. There are several public utility tax classifications, each with varying tax rates. The classification you report under is based on the service you provide and is measured on the gross receipts of the business. For both B&O and public utility tax, taxes are paid by the business. You should not be charging your customers for these taxes. If you need to determine the tax classification for your business activities, we have tools to help you. On our website, you can find the tax classifications for common business activities page. This page includes a list of common business activities and which tax classifications apply to those activities. It also includes a list of rules and laws as well as industry guides that will help you understand your tax obligations. For more detailed information, visit our website or sign up for the Department of Revenue's Business Tax Basics webinar. Our next topic of discussion is sales and use tax. Sales tax is a tax you collect from your customers on all retail sales. Retail sales includes the sales of tangible personal property, digital products, and certain services. The sales tax must be collected on the full selling price, including shipping and handling charges. Sellers are personally liable for remitting the correct amount of sales tax, even if they did not collect the proper amount or any amount from the purchaser. Also, if you overcollected the sales tax by collecting at the wrong rate or on products that should not have been taxed, you would have to return it to the buyer or submit it to the department. If you are returning the sales tax to the buyer, you must keep records on file to prove the collected sales tax was refunded. Now, moving on to use tax. Use tax is a tax on the use of products or services in Washington when retail sales tax has not been paid. Use of products or services in Washington are subject to sales or use tax, but not both on the same transaction. This means if you do not pay sales tax on the items you purchase, your business will most likely owe use tax. You can learn more about sales and use tax in our Business Tax Basics webinar. So how do you determine the rate for sales or use tax? Washington is a destination-based state. That means each sale or purchase may have a different tax rate applied since each city and county has their own individual tax rate. The location of the sale or purchase will determine the tax rate. Sales and use tax includes both a state and local rate component. The state rate is 6.5%, whereas the local rate varies depending on the location of the sale or the use of the item purchased. The department offers many free tools dedicated to helping businesses calculate the correct tax rates and obtain the correct location codes to report the tax. The tax rate lookup tool available on our website allows you to use an address or map tool to find the exact tax rate and location code. There is also the tax rate lookup mobile app that helps businesses find tax rates when they are away from their office. It's available on Android as well as Apple phones and can be downloaded through the App Store or Google Play. It's free of ads and will store rates you search for, making it easy to report the sales or use tax to the correct location on the excise tax return. On our website, you can also find a list of tax rates alphabetically by city and county in Excel or QuickBook file formats. When using these files, make sure to update the file each quarter to ensure you have the correct tax rates. Now we will talk about real and personal property taxes. The Department of Revenue oversees the administration of property tax at the state and local levels, but our agency does not collect property tax. Property tax applies to personal property used in conducting business when not exempt by law. The distinguishing characteristics from personal property to real property is mobility. Personal property includes machinery, equipment, furniture, and supplies. It does not include business inventories for resale. You should pay your personal property taxes to the county treasurer's office where your property is located. Contact your county directly for property tax information. We have a list on our website shown here at dor.wa.gov/county contacts. And now with more on taxes, Andrew Bryan from the Department of Labor and Industries.
Thanks so much, Jess. Let's go ahead and explore the other kind of taxes that might be involved, employment taxes. Now, these are the state employment taxes you can expect to pay once you become an employer. Workers' compensation insurance premiums are paid to the Department of Labor and Industries. And what you pay is going to be based on the number of worker hours. Now, the rates vary greatly depending on the type of job and its historical cost of injuries, which determines your risk classification. So if you're in a high hazard job like construction, you're going to be paying more. If you're in a low hazard job like computer programming, you're going to be paying a lot less. Most of the premium is paid by the employer, but a part can be deducted from the employee's paychecks. Now, state unemployment taxes are also paid to the Employment Security Department, and it's calculated by multiplying the taxable wages by the tax rate. Your specific rate is going to be provided to you by the Employment Security Department once they establish your account. There is a taxable wage limit of $72,800 per employee for 2025, meaning you're not going to be paying unemployment taxes above that amount. You're still going to report all of the wages. So here's an example of how that will work. Let's say you have an employee with a salary of $65,000, you pay taxes on that entire amount. If the employee's salary is $75,000, however, you're only going to pay taxes up to that $72,800 of those wages since it exceeds the wage base rate. The amount over the taxable wage base would be considered excess wages. And excess wages are reported for unemployment insurance benefits purposes, but they're subtracted from the employee's total wages, so you're not going to pay taxes on the amount above that wage base. Paid family and medical leave is also paid to the Employment Security Department. If you have 50 or fewer employees, you do not have to pay anything as the employer, though you can choose to. The total premium rate is 0.92%, and employees are paying all of the premium in those scenarios. If you happen to have a business with more than 50 employees, you'd be responsible for contributing to it as an employer, but the employees are still going to be paying the vast majority of it. Employers would be responsible for about 28.5% of the premiums. Employers deduct premiums from their employees' wages for the Washington Cares Fund as well. Now, Washington Cares is the state's new long-term care insurance program, and it's funded entirely by worker contributions. So there isn't an employer premium for Washington Cares. You'll collect Washington Cares premiums from your employees, much like you do for paid leave. And they've updated the paid leave reporting system on their end, so you can report for both programs at the same time. To calculate the total premium amount for each of your employees, the premium is going to be 0.58% of an employee's gross wages. So a simple way to calculate that would be their gross wages times 0.0058, and that will equal the total premium for that employee. Note that unlike paid leave, premium contributions are not capped at the taxable maximum for Social Security. This chart is excerpted from the payroll section of the Small Business Guide. Here you're going to see those three taxes, what they're for, how and when to report and pay, and to which agency. The fully linked table, however, also includes federal payroll tax responsibilities, which you'll also need to know. In addition to what the payroll section provides, there's further information about your ongoing tax responsibilities in the Run section of the Business Guide. If it's just going to be you as the owner working, well, good news. Business owners typically are not considered employees, so state employment taxes are not required. Sole proprietors, partners, managing members of LLCs, and corporate officers are exempt. However, family members are not typically exempt unless they're also owners. While they may not be required to participate, owners may wish to opt into things like paid family and medical leave or workers' compensation insurance coverage. Federal employment taxes are a different beast. Most owners of sole proprietorships, partnerships, and LLCs are paying income taxes and Social Security and Medicare taxes through their 1040 tax returns. Working owners of corporations or of LLCs choosing to be taxed like corporations would be considered employees, and they're going to be taxed like other employees through their paychecks. You'll want to look at the IRS's website or talk to your accountant for more information on this. Okay, let's say we take the next step. Let's learn some employer requirements. And here's what we're going to cover in this step. We're going to look at hiring employees, some new hire reporting, different employer requirements, and some resources and services that are available to help you. Now, we've already talked about employment taxes, which are certainly requirements for employers, but guess what? There's so many more. I'm sure it comes as no surprise to you that you can learn about them through the Small Business Guide and its many links. This is from the Start Your Business section of the guide, but you'll also find the information in the Grow Your Business chapter. Employers are required to report all of their new hires and rehires, including part-time and temporary employees, within 20 days of hire to the Washington Department of Social and Health Services. The information is used for child support collections purposes and unemployment fraud detection. You're going to report the employee's name, address, birth date, and social security number and hire date through the Secure Access Washington website, which you would have already created a login for in order to license your business in the first place. There are federal requirements with new hires as well, such as the employer and employee completion of the Department of Homeland Security I-9 form, the employee's completion of the IRS W-4 form, and you'll find information and links to those forms in, where else? Small Business Guide. Here is a list of additional employment laws for 2025, and as you can see, it's a mighty list. There are even more than what's listed here, but these are some of the major ones. We can't cover them all in detail in this particular webinar, but you know where you can access that information. That's right, folks, through the Small Business Guide. You can also learn more by attending the L&I Essentials for Business webinar, which is offered every month by yours truly, and is certain to be the most thrilling L&I webinar you will ever attend. Fair warning, I issue dad jokes, but not refunds, and that's mostly because the webinar is free. By the way, L&I provides lots of different services and resources to employers, as well as overseeing those requirements. This webinar is going to share a lot of those opportunities with you. The Employment Security Department also offers some really great resources for employers. They include data on local wage rates and free job postings, so please be sure to check them out on the links that we have listed here. Okay, that concludes step 5 and learning our employer requirements. Let's conclude with our final step together, and that is accelerate your success by meeting with a business advisor. Planning and starting a business is huge, so remember that there are in-person services such as SCORE, SBDC, and others that can help provide you assistance. Many of them are free, others are low cost, so please make use of them to help you reach your business and financial goals as efficiently as possible. And in fact, we have someone from the Washington Small Business Development Center here with us today to tell you a little bit more. Maria.
Thank you, Andrew. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's session. My name is Maria Eck of Washington's SBDC. We operate an extensive statewide network offering a multitude of services, tools, training, and resources. Each client we serve has access to a team of over 40 experienced advisors, experts in various industries that can assist businesses in any phase of their business operation. Together, we are dedicated to help Washington businesses grow and succeed. Our mission is to support the growth and success of Washington businesses through advising, education, and research. We achieve this by providing confidential, face-to-face business advising tailored to each client's specific needs, all at no cost. With abundant resources, tools, and knowledge, we empower clients to explore and address unique questions relevant to their situations. Rather than doing the work or making decisions for the clients, we guide them through the discovery process. Our role is to be a valuable resource, enabling clients to make informed decisions that contribute to creating or preserving wealth to foster long-term success and economic growth for all. The Washington SBDC serves as your go-to resource for expert advice, management, training, and market information. We provide individual and confidential assistance along with no-cost seminars and workshops. Our dedicated advisors cover a wide range of in-depth one-on-one advising involving financial analysis, cash flow management, access to capital, growth planning, marketing and sales, and much more. All advising services are confidential. Client confidentiality is mandated by federal law to ensure that information about you and your business will not be shared outside our network without your written permission. Our services and training programs are provided to clients at no cost. When clients first meet with an SBDC advisor, together they establish a scope of work with milestones reflecting the client's goals. Clients are encouraged to return to the SBDC for additional assistance at any time, often building long-term relationships that span the life cycle of their business. SBDC training programs offer practical, real-life solutions to address common challenges encountered by entrepreneurs and established business owners. Participants have the flexibility to join live webinars, access on-demand webinars, or attend in-person workshops on various topics of interest. All training sessions are led by SBDC advisors with firsthand experience and expertise providing valuable insights. Compared to average Washington businesses, SBDC clients achieve higher business revenue and job creation rates than their counterparts not utilizing SBDC services. Over a 10-year average, an SBDC client experiences an average growth rate of approximately 9%, while a standard business increases its job growth rate by 3%. Additionally, our clients achieve sales growth by an average of 18% compared to non-clients experiencing a sales growth rate of 6.5%. SBDC clients also play a positive economic impact on local, state, and federal sales tax revenues by generating $8.5 million of sales tax revenue, $2.5 million of federal tax revenue, totaling $11 million in taxes. Also, based on the surveys we send out, 90% of our clients recommend our services to others. We have over 30 locations around the state with our lead office in Spokane. One of our team members will assist you in registering for our services. If you're interested in getting in contact with us, you can visit us on the web. Email us at washington@wsbdc.org or call us at the number listed here, 833-492-7232. You can also scan the QR code here to find the center closest to you. Thank you, and back to you, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Maria. Remember, Business.wa.gov is your one-stop shop. If you don't know where to start, please reach out to our information center and we will point you in the right direction. And don't forget, you can also sign up for an economic and business resilience newsletter in Business.wa.gov. That's where you'll be able to stay updated of any important agency updates, services, programs, contracting opportunities, and grant opportunities and trainings happening near you. It goes out every second Thursday of the month. All of us who have participated in this webinar today are also very happy to help you now and years into the future. Here is our contact information. Please remember, we're part of the Small Business Liaison team, where there are more than 24 others like us from other state agencies who are also committed to small business support. Use us whenever you need the help. We'll be waiting for you whenever you need assistance. Thank you so much for watching with us today, and merry businessing.